Hi, my name is Teresa Smith, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about learning. I want to share to you an experience that I've had over the past few months of how I have really learned to love learning. Sounds kind of silly, right? I mean, when you think about it though, what do you value more? Do you value getting good grades more, or do you value learning? Let me show you how I have reclaimed the essence of learning in my own life, and hopefully you will too. It is so important to start by choosing something you love. Once you actively learn about things that you're interested in, other things will become more interesting to you too. It's like the domino effect. I started by learning about my family history. As I talk about my learning experience, I'm going to show you slide pictures and other things that I gathered throughout it. I knew that my family members on both sides had searched a lot of our history, but I had never seen it, nor had my immediate family. I had to first find out who had this information. So I went to my dad's dad, my grandfather. He told me that my Aunt Teresa had a lot of the information, had all the photos and everything. I was amazed by this because I actually lived with her for a few semesters and I had no idea. I met up with her and she lives just 20 minutes away from school. She showed me tons of boxes full of photos and names and charts and generations. She had dates from back to where our family immigrated to the United States. She had actually made a book herself, and I had ordered one. It was a lot easier to look at it and think, oh, here's all of my generations going back and forth. But when I actually put it into my perspective, it was really difficult. People forget that you may only have two sets of grandparents. That means you have four sets of great grandparents, and then 8 sets of great great grandparents. So although people may have tracked this, it's not easy to keep track of it. She talked to me about her mom, which I found really interesting because I never met her. She died before I was born. I also went to my grandfather, and he told me stories of his growing up in Ohio on the farm. He told me about his parents too. I found this really interesting because our whole family's Catholic, but he told me he actually grew up Lutheran until the 6th grade because of his mother. I told my dad about a lot of this, and he wanted me to make a book for him from his perspective. He wants me to add in our family as well and my nephew Landon. Soon after I'd done all this, I decided to move on to my mom's side. My mom's maiden name is Roach. I heard that we were actually related to Princess Diana by some distant, long distant relation, like 6th or 7th cousin. This is one of the things that sparked me in my interest to learn about my family from the first place. I knew my mom's family had traced a lot of the history as well, knowing that we were somehow related to Princess Diana. So we contacted my great uncle Bill. I never met him, but he sent me a few packets over with things including obituaries, articles, charts, pictures, a lot of stuff that me or my mom had never seen. I emailed him back saying thank you, which I kind of found funny since I had never met him, but I figured I might as well show him some respect since he's my great uncle after all. I also had a packet from my Aunt Judy, who was my mom's mother's sister, and my grandmother on that side also died when I was 3, so I never knew her. The packet was the story of my Aunt Judy's and my grandma's parents and their growing up. I loved this since I never knew that grandma too. Even though I had a ton of information by this point, I still decided to meet up with my grandma. She actually had a stack of letters from my great grandmother to and my great grandfather back and forth before they were married. It was awesome. I continued on by talking to my Aunt Kate. We talked for almost 2 hours and she told me stories about her mom. Another random day, I was searching through my mom's jewelry, hoping she'd give me some. She actually gave me a bracelet that was my grandmother's. This whole project has been such a blessing. There has been a lot of things that I've gathered and that I haven't been able to share. But at this point, I feel like I have a lot of information that I still need to sort through. It's not stopping though. I'm actually going to go up to Wisconsin this summer because I'm living in Michigan, so I'm going to visit Uncle Bill and see all the farms that my family owns. I know that my grandma, her nephew made a website about their family relations, and I'm considering doing that for my family as well because I know everyone would love it so much.
I really recommend the book Schooling for Life Reclaiming the Essence of Learning by Jacqueline Brooks. One quote that I really enjoyed from it went like this: "The relevance of learning emerges as students find their own problems, find their own voices in solving the problems they pose for themselves, and finding their satisfaction in their answers." I really liked this quote because it reminded me of my learning experience and how I came to stumbling blocks within, just people that I was talking to and where to go with my research. And I didn't know where to go, but, I overcame those and I came up with new solutions. And it actually took my learning in a different direction than I expected. Another story from the book that was one of my favorites was about a third grader that was going through a museum with a tour guide and the rest of her class. The tour guide was telling her that the reason our mosquito bites itch are because our blood is too thick for the mosquitoes to just dive into. So they put their saliva on our skin and in our blood so that they can bite us. The little girl remembered that alcohol actually makes your blood thinner. So she raised her hand and said, "If you drink alcohol, then maybe your mosquito bites won't itch." The museum owner was really confused by this, why the little girl would be saying this, but when the little girl went on to explain that she remembered that alcohol made your blood thinner, perhaps that would solve the solution of having an itchy bug bite, it made a total sense to the museum owner. I was really impressed by the story, and it also related back to my learning because I didn't have high expectations for some of the relatives that I was talking to. Like, I didn't think that my grandma was going to have anything new, and then she happened to have a stack of letters. So I was just amazed that, I didn't have high expectations, but we really should. And even in our classrooms, we should have high expectations for our students. We'd be amazed by the things that they know.